Welcome to the 89th Special Moves podcast. My name's Mike Williams. These guys are Jake Kulkowski and Liam McKelvey. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, gamers.
We've got a lot to get through this week. A big Xbox games showcase thing happened on Thursday, which was pretty cool. I mean, full of stuff to talk about. Lots of games. Lots of
CGI.
What were they saying? World exclusive? What was it? World premiere.
World premiere.
World premiere.
Yeah,
like every sort of 2 or 3 minutes. It was pretty good. And I've been kind of having a look at what the general consensus is this morning, like compared to PlayStation and stuff. And I think I've got it a little bit wrong, maybe, because I think they've both been great. Like I thought they were both exciting for different reasons. But generally, from what I've been reading, it's kind of like a little bit more lukewarm than I thought it was. Do you know what I mean? I don't know about you guys, but I thought they were both good. Xbox and PlayStation, which was a couple of weeks ago.
They were, but I just think I don't know. I think it's still the excitement from a PlayStation event is still. These are all the big events you can like experience events. They'd fucking love that, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
These are all the big AAA games that you can build your life around on our platform, whereas Xbox seemed a little bit more lax. It was a bit like having a catch up with your mate, like, oh, we've got this on the way, this on the way, this on the way, this, and we haven't really got much gameplay, so here's some CGI, and obviously, as always, it's coming out on Game Pass, so it felt like that. That's what it felt like. Whereas PlayStation was more like, are you guys sitting down? Because you better be sitting down. Like, it just, I don't know, they felt a bit more like showy, I guess.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you haven't watched it, maybe it'd be a good idea to just duck out of this and go and have a little look at the Xbox Games showcase or whatever it was called, which happened on Thursday, because that's what we're going to be talking about. We've also got, if we've got time, we've got a few games to get through as well that you guys have been playing.
We've got too many games to we can't fit it all in. So
and loads of emails.
Yeah.
We actually had a very busy week for emails, so we really appreciate that. If you want to send us emails, the address is dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. And there's quite a decent amount of new games coming out this week as well that we want to talk about. So it's pretty busy. Which, for the last week of July is pretty good.
And it looks like August is going to just be even busier. Believe it or not, from kind of what I understand anyway.
Totally. Okay, then. So let's get into the Xbox games thing. So Halo Infinite, I guess, was possibly the biggest. That's the one that feels the most real, I guess, because they were showing gameplay of it, and it's proper like Microsoft exclusive. Halo Infinite is like some kind of MMO type. What are they calling it? MMO light, like Destiny, or what?
They've just called it Halo, but open world. And I don't know. I think there was an interview where someone described it as a platform rather than a game. So interpret that whichever way you want.
Okay.
This was the biggest part of the show. I mean, it took up the majority of the runtime just on its own. So
yeah.
Yeah, so it was like a full 15 minutes of just that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, the thing that struck me immediately was, that visually it didn't look very good, I didn't think. But I watched like a Digital Foundry analysis trying to explain how they're going for this realistic, lighting day to night cycle type thing. And because it's not fixed lighting, which is like you'd get in The Last of Us Part 2, which they can, you can make it look amazing because it doesn't change, and you can spend more time crafting the art and stuff. Whereas this is like a more dynamic day to night light system by the looks of it.
Yeah,
that's not confirmed. That's just what they think. That it looked a bit flat because a lot of it, but I don't know. I just think that it wasn't the only game in the whole Xbox show thing that I thought that doesn't look very good. There was a couple of others where I thought, is this from 2012 or am I just being a prick here? Could be both. Probably was both. But
Halo Infinite was apparently running on a PC as well, that demo they showed. So it wasn't even on the Series X.
Right.
It was just on a PC, like a, I don't know, obviously what spec it was.
Yeah.
But it was just running on a regular old PC.
And it's gonna be on PC, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, it wasn't a stunner. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of these like MMO light type games, like Destiny, you can't say that it doesn't look good. Destiny does look great. I think the way they've kind of taken the art direction, I'm not too keen on recently. It's very like superhero-y and a lot of bright colours and shit. But the fundamentals, the environments and stuff in Destiny, they look amazing. Mm-hmm. Same goes for Division and shit, to be fair. I think Division looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to see the same asset 500 times, you need to make it pop. Like, they better be some gorgeous barbed wire concrete pillars. Like,
or in the Division, it's literally like bags of rubbish.
Exactly.
But it looks fucking good.
Yeah, right. And this is weird. When the gameplay started and they got out onto the the planet or whatever, or was it? I guess it wasn't the Halo ring. I don't know what it was.
No, but it is a Halo ring. It's sat on a ring. Yeah.
It was like the first game when you first do that, because the first mission's like on the ship, and then you had that exact same moment where there's a drop ship coming down as well, right? So I like that. At first, I was like, was that intentional, or does it just all look the same, or am I getting old?
They're definitely trying to evoke memories of Halo 1 with this one.
Yeah.
Well, they fucking did that.
Yeah, well,
I can't take that away from
We're
them.
recording our podcast on Discord voice call. So when you use Discord on the left-hand side of your screen, you've got all all the flipping, all your mates and all your messages. Not one, not two, but 3 people on my Discord recent direct messages has that exact same profile picture of that, what was that, like that close up of that bad looking alien?
The Brute.
Do you know what I mean? The Brute, yeah. The Brute.
Oh, yeah, he's got a name, hasn't he?
I can't remember what his name is.
It's Craig. They call him Craig.
Craig the Brute. There's 3 Craigs in my DMs right now. And that's never happened before with a game, so that should be a good meter stick. People have found it so funny to put it as they think it's a personality, basically.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Other than that, though, and this is my thing, I played Halo 1 quite a lot. I played Halo 2 a lot. And then Halo 3, I think, was around the same time as Call of Duty 4, about 2007 or something like that. So because of that, I kind of dropped off it. And then the next spacey shooter game I got into was Destiny. So not like a massive Halo fan, but I just don't really know where the internet's expectations are, because when I was watching it, I didn't really find it that impressive. But then I just thought to myself, like, I'm not really a Halo fan. But I think a lot of people were in the same position as me, but they were kind of expecting themselves to be swayed. So if we take that example of like a superhero movie, just because Mike said it earlier and it's stuck in my brain, if I watched a trailer for a superhero film, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's so disappointing. I really wanted to see the trailer for that new Spider-Man film, even though I'm not a Spider-Man fan, and be dead impressed. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just about setting it. But for video games, it seems that isn't quite there. Like, people will be like, well, I don't care that I'm not a Halo fan. I want it to be blown away. So I didn't feel blown away, and I don't have really that much warm thoughts on it. But the way I just say is, like, I'm just not a massive Halo fan. I'll play it, of course, but, you know.
I'm going to play it as well, and I think I would say I'm a Halo fan. I've not played them all. I haven't even played any of the recent ones. I haven't played Halo. I don't even know if it's called Halo 4. I haven't played Halo 4 and Halo 5, right? But I like Halo. I like the Halo universe, and I like Halo Wars, and I did play Halo 1 and 2, and I loved Halo 3 in particular. That was one I played a lot, multiplayer on the 360. So I'm up for this, and I love Destiny. But the problem is, it hasn't shown that it's excelling at anything, apart from being a Halo game. It hasn't. When Destiny was revealed, that was like, fuck, what is this? It looks really good. There's mystery around it. It's properly up its own ass. It's like a sci-fi that really takes itself super seriously.
What's Paul McCartney doing there?
Paul McCartney was involved. There was lots of fog and, the really clear, like, concept art. You could see, like, concept artists on Twitter and Instagram who post their work, and Destiny looked like one of their accounts. Like, it just had its own, distinctive kind of thing. Whereas Halo we already know what Halo is.
You've seen a grunt, a needler, and a warthog 20 years ago.
Yeah, and this is coming out as like, you know, one of them. Like it's a one of the Destiny type games. It's not doing what Halo, the original Halo, did, which was fucking completely stir the pot and be like a massive blockbuster first person shooter on a console. And then Halo 2, that kind of revolutionized like console multiplayer, and you know the franchise has been really important for doing things like that. But now it's kind of, you know, just doing another Destiny type thing, but in the Halo universe. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying that's all I've seen so far. If you know what I mean.
It sounds like both me and you then, you know, we know the Bungie Halo, and then we followed Bungie over to Destiny. So Liam, you have played it is 343, isn't it?
Yeah, they 343 make 4-5 and Infinite, who are some former. Yeah, they're like made up of former. It's like Bungie split in two basically when they left Halo, and some of them stayed at Microsoft at 343, and the others went off to Destiny. But yeah, 343 have been in charge of the franchise since Halo 4. And
you've played them as well, right? So
yeah, I've played them, and contrary to the popular opinion on those games, I actually quite like them because the Halo fandom isn't too kind to 4 or 5, especially 5, which was a bit like the multiplayer was a bit dodgy on release. Got better over time. I didn't play much in the multiplayer, but I liked the campaign for what it was. It was very focused on like squad co-op instead of just Master Chiefing your way through battle zones and stuff like that. But like I would say I'm optimistic about Halo Infinite because I liked the look of the gameplay. It was very nostalgic with especially they had like all the old school like the shield sounds and stuff like going on and off whenever you got hit and stuff like that. That was cool. The visuals didn't really bother me because I don't really consider myself that bothered by visuals in games for the most time anyway. I finished Deadly Premonition 2. That tells you all that visuals aren't a big priority for me. I do understand though that for what was meant to be the big blow-away showcase of the Xbox, first party studios, I can see how it was a bit underwhelming. And
it didn't feel like a next gen leap forward.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's because, and I think that's the whole thing that was undermining any wow factor is that none of these games are just next gen, right? They're still going to run on this gen, so they can't showcase some of that. Right, that Ratchet and Clank in the PS showcase, that portal changing and stuff like that was just like, imagine doing that on the PS4. But this,
well, they did. Titanfall did it.
Yeah. But I mean, like, constant. Actually, Titanfall could do it. Yeah, you're right. But the graphics, while it did it, looked like
the point of that was to. You're totally right, Jake. The point of that was to show off what the PS5 can do. That was basically the only reason that was in the demo, isn't it? It's showing we're using Ratchet and Clank as like a look at what you can do now kind of thing. You can load in different areas, like and like Liam said, Titanfall has done it, but I'm sure this will be. For whatever reason, technically a step above, and that was the entire point. Whereas you didn't get much of that. With the Xbox showcase, there wasn't like a look at what the hardware is enabling us to do type stuff. Like, really, was there?
To me, the entire Xbox showcase was more Microsoft being they don't really care that much about the hardware. They're trying to sell you on the software and the ecosystem, especially with them saying like everything's going to be on everything you see here will be available on Game Pass day one, and all like which that sort of goes into like what Microsoft actually is. They are a software company at heart, whereas Sony is a hardware company. Used to make TVs, CD players, and all that. That's their main focus. Whereas Microsoft is more about getting you invested in this, just like the Windows, Xbox ecosystem.
And ecosystem is a great word. That's totally right, Liam. That's exactly what they're trying to bring you into the business model kind of thing. They're trying to bring you into the subscription type, which is a phenomenally good value compared. So every single game they showed off was going to be available on the Game Pass. You can play it on any of the Microsoft kind of platforms, which means Xbox One or the new Xbox console or PC. Compared to PlayStation, which we were just looking at the prices a couple of days ago for What was?
Oh yeah,
what was the game that?
Both the Ubisoft games. So it was Far Cry and it was Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah.
It was 3 tiers. I think standard games £60. The like super duper edition was like £81, and I think the big like whatever it was called, like deluxe edition, was like £92 as an introductory price. But the
special price that was
special deal just for you, and it was £99 otherwise, and it's like
and it's not a direct comparison, but just because Watch Dogs isn't a Sony exclusive, but just to give you an idea of what you're looking at as a kind of just as a gamer looking at these two consoles, you're going, well, I can pay a subscription on that one, and I can keep my current gen console for a little bit longer, and I can it's a much better value than looking at I need to spend £500, £400 or whatever it's going to be on a new bit of hardware, and then the games are going to be like 60, 70, 80, 90 quid depending on how much I want to. It's a completely different
do you know what this is it like people talk about how it wasn't as exciting, and I agree it wasn't as exciting, right? I really do agree. But I mean, we're in a very, very fortunate position where we can pretty much get a lot of the games that you would have seen on the PlayStation Showcase for free, right? That's not going to be that big a deal. But look at those 2 hour-long things. If we wanted to play every single game on our Xbox thing, as somebody who has a current gen Xbox, it's going to cost us over the next 2 years the price of 2 years of Game Pass. So we're talking, I don't know how much that is, £250 or whatever if you get the good one, £350 max.
Which means you can play multiplayer, and you can, which means you get Xbox Live Gold, and you can play all the other games that come onto Game Pass, the indie games and this on either platform. So that's good value.
Let's be really, we'll go liberal with it. We'll say £500 for the Game Pass for those 2 years, because you're getting Game Pass Ultimate. That's how much it would cost to play every single thing we saw that hour. If we wanted to play every single thing we saw on the PlayStation thing, right, we've got to get a new console, that's £450. Every single game is £50. You're talking like nearly £1,500.
And then you need to pay £50 a year or £40 a year for PlayStation Plus.
So PlayStation had a better show, in my opinion. It had an exciting show, but it had a very expensive show. Whereas Xbox, it was like, baby, stay with me. Look at all these places we go together.
Xbox was wearing a warm jumper, and it's just the jumper that they're always wearing, and that jumper in it. And like fucking Sony was wearing a tux, a fucking sexy tux, man.
Yeah, I'm bought you some chocolates from fucking Spa, innit? And you're just like, come on. So like that's if you're thinking properly. That's what Xbox brought to the table. Yeah. And if you don't give a shit about consoles and you're a PC master racer, you're still going, all right, maybe I'll get Game Pass.
Yeah. Because it's a different approach, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a different approach.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's very interesting the way things are going. We've got a couple of emails about the show. So we've talked about Halo Infinite a little bit there. There's loads more to talk about, but we'll just pop in a couple of emails that are kind of on topic.
Yeah.
Remember, these are emails from our dearspecialmoves@gmail.com inbox. If you want to send us anything, it's dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. Send us a good email and we will read it out. They all do get read. This one is from our local MP, Stephen Beaufort-Jones, who says, Dear Special Moves, after a new Fable being announced, after Mike requested it in the last podcast, I'm convinced that Mike now has powers to make games happen. Therefore, please can you request a sequel to the criminally underrated Freedom Fighters? Fucking good shout, by the way. And we can sit back and watch the universe do its thing. Cheers, Stephen Beaufort-Jones. Also, another email on this topic from Chimpo, who doesn't even give us a Dear Special Moves or a Hello Gamers straight in. Oh my God, guys. Fable. Regards. Chimpo.
There was a lot of tweets about this as well on my Twitter account saying, I bet you and the guys are thrilled. I bet Team Special Moves are thrilled.
Yeah. So this was so we've talked about the main event for the thing, which was Halo Infinite, but this is the fucking Special Moves real event, I guess. The Fable reveal, which is basically just confirming long suspected truth, I suppose, isn't it? We kind of thought there was a Fable game in the works.
Yeah.
for a long time, I suppose.
Yeah, I can't remember where the rumor really started, and then it's like, games industry stuff. I've been at events and stuff. It's always been whispers as well, and it's kind of like the guess what I know, and everyone's like, yeah, everyone knows. Shut up. It's like
I think it was like it was like a LinkedIn page or something, wasn't it? It said they were working on a Microsoft-owned RPG franchise. It was like, well, that's not many to pick from, is there?
And there was that's what it was. There was a job going at like Leamington Spa Playground Games, and you needed to be, because it was like an open position, but you had to be quite. I can't remember what the words they used were, but it was basically saying you need to be entrenched in British comedy culture. You need to know like British quips. It was the fact that it was saying British. It was like an open world fantasy RPG that was super duper British.
Yeah, I mean, they might as well have said you need to have played and enjoyed Fable and understand exactly what we mean when we want some British humour in it. This such an obvious kind of thing, isn't it? But
I've been speaking to a couple of friends online this week, and I was very I'm kind of happy for them, kind of shocked that lots of them hadn't played it. They were like, "I'm going to play this now on Game Pass." It's like, where have you been? Where have you been? Yeah. It's like...
Right. If anyone is listening to this, and I'll narrow the pool. If anyone is listening to this and they have Game Pass, right, and you haven't played Fable, fucking sort that out and do not listen to this podcast until you have played Fable.
And even if you don't want to get Game Pass, you can get a second-hand copy for like £2.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Go on eBay.
So play Fable is the message.
Fable had a cinematic trailer that showed off absolutely zero gameplay, no release date. It was basically a better version of that Elder Scrolls trailer we saw from Bethesda a couple of years ago.
With
just a title reveal, wasn't it, really?
Was it a bit of Stephen Fry as well? Was it Stephen Fry?
It sounded like him, or the guy who did the voice of the Guildmaster from the first Fable game, and I couldn't tell. And I don't know if that's me being, an idiot.
Do you know what? I'm usually very good with voices, right? And that's like my one kind of thing I would say I have as a natural talent is just voices, right? And just hearing them and repeating them, and I'm good at picking up voice actors and shit. I was so excited about the fact that it was just Fable. I just completely ignored who it was, so I have no idea. I can't even remember.
No one said
hearing the voiceover. To be honest, I can't even remember what was said.
I've just googled Fable trailer. I can't remember what it said either. I just remember it said no.
It was.
Oh, it says narrated by, and then in brackets, someone who sounds like Stephen Fry. So they've said that it's not him,
right?
But I think it is. Honestly, and I hope I'm right, because it's not just I think it's the voice of the original Guildmaster, because it sounded like him a lot.
Wasn't Stephen Fry?
He was in 2. He was in 2 and 3.
Yeah,
Who was
2 was Stephen Fry. There was John Cleese, and then the third one was like big one. Fassbender was in it.
Yeah,
Ben Kingston and all that. But Stephen Fry was he was in the.
Was his name? Was it Reaver? Was that what he was called?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's
it. Ben Kingsley was trying to do a Welsh accent in the third one, and it was just an absolute abomination.
It's people said it was. Let me see. It's not Stephen Fry though, apparently. So I don't know. Someone said it sounded like Simon Callow, but I think it was the Guildmaster. Anyway, forget about it.
Yeah.
The point is, it was like you kind of got to see Fable in a nutshell. If you don't know anything about Fable, it was a little fairy tale world with a little like Roald Dahl kind of twist. That if you don't know anything about Fable, like it's kind of playful but menacing at the same time. So the fairy got eaten by a toad, and then it had a Fable reveal over a city, which
Bowerstone probably in it.
Very high fantasy.
If you look at it.
It looks like a complete reboot.
Yeah, so this is the thing. We don't know this for a fact, but all of the original rumours about Fable, back in the day, the whispers in the East, were all saying that it was a reboot. And that is what... People are saying Fable 4, but really, it's like a soft reboot of Fable, which, to be honest, I'm a bit happy with, because I like the fact that the originals are still there. And I think because of what happened with Lionhead, and I love the idea that it's not being added to. It's it's side by side. To be honest, I think it's a bit disrespectful to finish like the story or continue adding to the exact story?
Yeah, it's a strange series. Like, you know, it's pretty, in my opinion, it's pretty disconnected. That, you know, there is a thread, but you can. It's like Star Wars, you know, almost. George Lucas keeps saying that he had envisioned it as a Darth Vader fucking trilogy from the very beginning, but you look at how the original Star Wars pans out. It's so fairy tale and classic hero story, and then, you know, and then they've gone on and expanded on that universe massively. Yeah, it kind of feels a bit like that in Fable to me, where they have a clear. It's just going to be a game on the Xbox. Mm-hmm. And then it's very successful. It gets really good reviews, and then they're like, okay, Fable 2, and then they kind of change the time period. But then there's like, you know, a thread, and a couple of the characters are kind of recurring. Yeah. But it's not. It's kind of not about that. You don't. It's.
Well, I think the number one key thing in Fable that they were clearly going for was, and it was the Lionhead like ethos thing, was choices matter.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, everyone's saying it now, but that's really what it was. And so, like in the second game, it was like, how can we give choices more gravitas? Oh, we'll put a dog in there. People love dogs. Yeah. And you know, give everyone a decision. And then the Fable 3 is what you rule. You're the ruler. So
yeah, it's become some kind of kingdom management type. You know, a bit like Reigns or something. You know, the mobile game Reigns, where you swipe left and right. It's a bit like that, where, you know, you're sitting in you're playing through an adventure, and then up until halfway, and then you kind of finish the adventure, and then the game changes to you're kind of like a ruler. Yeah. I mean, there's always like these crazy, like Molyneux crazy ideas in there, and it's probably gonna miss some kind of like some underlining, like, essential bit of madness in it. I reckon it'll, you know.
I really hope, in my head anyway, and I don't know if it's the same, and I think it's because you guys kind of have a similar thing, but I think that people, especially UK people who are into games, hold it up on some sort of pedestal. And I can imagine a lot of the young talent working on this game will have Fable in a very special place, and I'm just really, really hoping that translates into the game. It's kind of like with Larian and Baldur's Gate. Like, Larian clearly riffed off the originals so much, you know that they know. So I just hope that it's the same with Playground. Yeah, they're the car game people, but I think that they're going to give it enough of a shit to really.
You're totally right, but I just. You know, when you've got someone like Peter Molyneux involved, it's like when you've got Kojima involved in the game. Yeah. You just know there's going to be some fucking crazy edge to it on some level, and it's not going to be like a 9 out of 10. It's not going to be a 10 out of 10 on, you know, to everyone anyway. There's going to be
divide.
There's going to be people who think it's shit and they don't see the appeal and stuff, and it's, you know, so without that, you know, maybe it's probably better that they are, like you said, Jake. It's probably better that they are doing a reset of the franchise in a way, and trying to pay homage to it rather than you know,
give themselves. Even though a lot of people will probably think that Fable 3 is the unnecessary addendum.
It is.
So I think that it seems cool. I don't think we know if it's going to be like multiplayer or not, or whatever. There was like very, very light, floaty No Man's Sky multiplayer in the second game.
Yeah. Literally had orbs like No Man's Sky. Didn't we call it the Guildford Orb?
Yeah, exactly. The Guildford Orb. But the thing is that when I was young, when Fable 2 came out, I wanted multiplayer more than anything. Now, I don't know. I would prefer a single player game, to be completely honest with you, unless it was invite a couple of your friends in a light party. You know, I don't really want to see like Dick Slasher 420 running around my world. Do you get me? Stuff like that. Like, keep that out of it in my head anyway. Yeah. But overall, like, it's finally happening. Skate 4 and Fable in the same year.
Yeah, it's good. It's just really good to know it's happening. You know, and it's one of them that we've been kind of harping on about for ages and ages and ages. And it was kind of done in like a joke. Like, every time there's a games thing, we always like texting before it, like, oh, what they're going to do this, they're going to drop this right at the end, they're going to drop this right at the end as the last surprise, because that's what Nintendo kind of started out doing.
Yeah.
With the Nintendo Direct.
Mic drop moment.
Yeah, yeah. And then this was done like that, wasn't it? It was like oh, one more thing, you guys, kind of little treat at the end, which is pretty cool. Because you predict and hope for these things, and they don't always happen, do they? So.
Yeah, it's nice to know it's coming. It's probably still a way off yet, though.
Watch it.
Yeah,
where
miles off.
This and Elder Scrolls will drop in the same year, and it'll set the internet ablaze. Yeah. That is like that is honestly like a dream. If both of them come out the same year, I will.
Because
oh my god,
what was it? So I saw someone saying online the trailer said at the bottom, Series X and Windows 10. So it's not going to be on Xbox One. Yeah. So and that goes against their whole policy thing of we're going to be cross-gen for a few years. So
they said 2 years until the first exclusives are going to be seen, right? So we know at the very earliest it's 2022.
Mm-hmm.
The nature of it is the nature of the reveal is mild. It gives the impression that it's miles off. Well, I mean, when was that Elder Scrolls 6 reveal? When was that?
Not last
2 years.
2 years.
2018.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen anything about it since then, have we? So,
same with
it's that
Starfield,
kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah, but you just know it's happening.
That's coming first.
Yeah,
and that's the one that they said's coming first. Did Bethesda do anything like that this year? An E3 moment?
Don't think so.
Well, so apparently, like the big thing this year is Gamescom Opening Night Live. That's the big mix pack of of AAA announcements. It's apparently going to be the biggest event of the year on the third party perspective, because they were already planning on doing it digitally anyway, and that's where Jeff Keighley and his production team decided to go from last year. Mm-hmm. So people are this is, if you want to start making your AAA wish list, it's for this event. Okay. So Elden Ring hopefully will be there.
Yeah, well, that's another one. Like that's been
a year. 1 year since but nothing. Absolute radio silence on Elden Ring. There's been nothing. But I think at the Gamescom Opening Night Live or the Game Awards, they showed off something. I just can't remember what. No, they didn't. So I don't know. Hopefully they will show some sort of Elden Ring update, and maybe this Starfield, because what do we know that Bethesda are doing for next gen? Like next gen launches like this year.
Yeah.
Surely they've got they would have had like a Wolfenstein or
they've got they showed it at the Sony event, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's it. Deathloop. That looks good. Deathloop, I think.
Yeah, from Arcane.
Yeah. So I guess there's lots of games to talk about for the.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any like a highlight or something?
Fable.
I've got a few, not like, I wouldn't say I'm like massively excited for, but I'm definitely going to keep an eye on them. First one, even though it was only a CGI trailer, Warhammer Darktide, just for the co-op potential, which is, it's made by Fat Shark, the Vermintide developers, and it looks like Vermintide, but in the Warhammer 40k universe, which is infinitely more appealing, because I prefer sci-fi over fantasy setting any day. And I would quite like to, do some Vermintide co-op in the 40k universe
with fully automatic weapons.
Yeah.
It
looks good. It looks really nice. I like this. I've got like a weird relationship with Warhammer where I like the idea of it a lot, and I really like the idea of Vermintide. And we played a bit of Vermintide, but I fucking really enjoyed it. I really, really liked Vermintide 2, sorry. I really, really liked the time we spent playing that, but we barely played it after the first couple of weeks for some reason.
Yeah.
Even though, we play in like Deep Rock Galactic and stuff like that. There's just I don't know what it is.
Similar vibe, I think, isn't it, really? So
yeah, it is. But yeah, so I'm super looking forward to this. Mm-hmm. I think this could be cool.
Yeah, co-op, like total co-op special, I think, Liam.
Yeah, and then what else was it? I'm looking forward to seeing what they're doing with Phantasy Star, that new Genesis, which they've confirmed is a standalone game, but in the same continuity as Phantasy Star Online 2. So for all intents and purposes, it is basically Phantasy Star Online 3, but you can transfer your character between Phantasy Star Online 2 and this new Genesis. So your character will look the same, you can carry the same equipment, but progression and XP and certain like cash items and stuff won't transfer across. But from the look of the trailer, because they released another trailer like afterwards clarifying what it actually was, they said, yeah, it's standalone, but you can swap between them at any time. So you just like log out of one, go log into the other, weird, and your character will still be there. Yeah, and it's gone from, because Phantasy Star Online is a like a lobby based.
Oh, sorry for cutting you off.
It's alright. But yeah, like Phantasy Star Online 2 is like a lobby based MMO, whereas this one has gone to an open field, looks a bit more like WoW and Final Fantasy 14, where it's just a big open environment and you wander around that environment taking quests and stuff. Whereas Phantasy Star is traditionally like you're in like literally a lobby. You go to a counter, you take a quest, you go to a teleporter that takes you to like a waiting room while you're ready up with your party, and then you go into like this Monster Hunter Destiny style map where it's like a bunch of connected areas with events popping off and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this, and they've said it'll actually be an international release, so Europe actually gets it this time, which is quite nice.
Yeah, that was a sticking point when it came to Xbox, right? That it was, you could play in, I think, in America and Japan, but that seems like interesting. And I wonder if this version is just going to be the version for people that like walking a bit more,
maybe
because it's not going to be lobby based. You can go around and like it like WoW. But yeah, no, I saw some excitement about that. It's like a very like
it's a very
specific.
It's a very niche game, but I'll definitely give it a try. I'm actually struggling to remember what else Microsoft showed off, to be honest.
State of Decay 3 was a pretty big announcement, I suppose, wasn't it? But
the CGI trailer of was it a zombie deer?
Yeah, but yeah, there was no gameplay. There was just a kind of reveal.
We got that. We got that trailer for, was it Everwild by Rare, which looked very nice. It looked gorgeous, and then after the showcase came out, someone from Rare gave an interview saying, we're still kicking around gameplay ideas. So they made this like really fancy trailer and they don't even know what the game is yet, which is a bit worrying, you know, like it seems like you would know what type of game you were making before you were putting out like trailers for it and stuff.
There was a couple of them at the Xbox showcase, but with Everwild, like that is just like the prettiest concept art, the nicest idea, but you know, a great idea is one thing, but it's about making it. But the art was amazing. It had some like Princess Mononoke vibes for me. I was like feeling like the fucking spirit of the forest just watching it. I really like the idea of Rare doing some mad animal shit, yeah. And like Sea of Thieves is like kind of. I think they learned a lot from it, actually, because people didn't like it at first. They added more stuff. People then warmed to it. Like they met, like, you know, fans and them met each other halfway, I think. But I think Rare did learn some stuff from it, to the point where I think if they do a new game, even if it was exactly in the same vein as Sea of Thieves, but let's just say it was like you were collecting animals or something, that they would probably put a bit more stuff in on launch. So like Rare are just like pretty consistent. And whatever it is that they do, their games have got loads of fucking charm to them. Animals are pretty cute, so it's like the mix together, bam. I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes, because I think the art style looks amazing. I like the look of Avowed, because I'm just an idiot who will lap up anything with some fucking skeletons and fireballs. But I gotta tell you, like, knowing it's Obsidian's like big game that they've been working on, after I really didn't like Outer Worlds, but I do like Pillars a lot. Knowing that they don't have to, if you know, it's true what they're saying about it being in the Pillars universe, that's half of the job done. The universe, the lore, they're not going to have to start making up new gods called like Akatatesh or whatever. They've got all that stuff done, so they can focus on making a fucking good game. And I just kind of think like loads of people have looked at how Bethesda did games, and some people did like Outer Worlds, for example. But what about Skyrim? There's no like, I don't want to say Skyrim killer, because Skyrim is 9 years old, baby. It can battle anyone. But no one's really bothered to try and make a first-person that type game, and I want to see it. I want to see, their version of I want to see their version of Skyrim, basically.
I think. Well, let me say something here. All right. I think Obsidian are making too many games.
Yep.
I think they're like a little bit of an 8 out of 10 factory.
Yep.
Where they could probably really do a fucking all-timer if they, this game studio is a very complicated thing. I haven't got talking about here, but if they were, just the frequency. Some people really love Pillars of Eternity, but it's not for everyone. And what was it? Outer Worlds. That was a good game, but you've just said yourself there, Jake. You like the games, but you don't like Outer Worlds. There's just some kind of
it was because it was
not quite nailing the landing on all of their games.
They were first people in the world to say, guys, we only did sort of like a AA budget, and it was a small project because we're working on something else. So I guess this is what they're working on. But they are, I don't know if they're Russian, but it's I said rushing, not Russian. I know that they're not Russian, but we had Pillars is 2015, Pillars 2 is 2018,
which have expansion packs, right? Or Pillars 1 does, yeah.
Yeah, and there was console ports that were developed in house. Then there was Outer Worlds, and now this. But it's
and they were helping with the South Park games.
Yeah,
and they were doing. I'm sure they were doing something else as well.
Yeah, no, there's definitely something they're doing, but they are spreading themselves out too thin. I think with having this A and B team, by the sounds of it. I don't know, some punditry here, but they could make. When Mike says they could make an all-timer, we are aware that we mean another all-timer.
Absolutely. No, totally. I'm not. It's not lost. I'm saying this as Knights of the Republic 2 is
exactly no. Yeah,
if not my favorite game ever, one of my favorite games ever.
Tyranny was the other game that they did, 2016.
I fucking forgot that was a thing, right? And this is what I'm kind of saying, where maybe I'm totally wrong, but it just feels like I haven't had one off them in a few years, maybe since New Vegas. Maybe I don't know that I've gone. Fuck, this is really really fucking good and pushing the boundaries in some direction. Because when Pillars came out, it was right next to Divinity Original Sin 2,
it was right next to Divinity Original Sin 1, but when it came out again, Definitive Edition, then it was next to Divinity Original Sin 2.
It's close enough.
Sandwiched between Larian, yeah.
It was in the middle of a Larian sandwich then.
Yeah.
But in my head, it's too close to Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah.
For me to Divinity Original Sin 2 is one of the best examples of what it is. And I don't feel like that about Pillars. And I love Obsidian. I just want to make that clear. I do like what they're doing, but I think maybe they're doing too many games.
Yeah, there's Pillars 2 is good. Mechanically, it's fucking great actually, but it makes a huge mistake that it is absolutely a sequel to the first one.
Right.
So when you play it, it's like we can't detect any saves from your old game. So okay, which god did you? And then it says, imagine you played the first game. What did you do at this point? Did you siege the city of Maratov-Kosh, or did you sacrifice it to the god, Akelakesh? And you're like, what the fuck is any of this? Which zodiac sign would you have picked if you played it? And then it's like, oh, don't know what you're talking about. You can read the compendium we've compiled and have a look through, and it's just like you've got to play it's like playing a Dungeons and Dragons campaign where you've got to study for 20 hours if it's your first campaign. Big mistake in my opinion.
Very 2007 kind of approach, that, isn't it? It's like, oh, you didn't play Mass Effect 2, don't worry, Mass Effect 3, pick your things. Right,
bit of a tangent. I am gearing up to play a tabletop RPG called Good Society with my mates online. And I have had to put in about 7 hours of fucking learning the rules of the game and crafting this character and all this. And it's like, that's what this Pillars thing is like. It's like, I don't want to do that. I want to do this once ever, and that's it, yeah? So I'm, it's just like...
I'm just already picturing Jake, have you crafted your character? Yeah, I made my character. Have you crafted your character?
That's it. That's actually what's going on in the Discord. Like, it's like, well, have you got a connection to this place? It's like, all right, God. But I feel like that is kind of what they're going for though with Pillars 2, right? They're going for the tabletop nerds, but it was just too... Meanwhile, Divinity Original Sin 2 was like, you're on a boat, if you don't know anything, forget about it.
Totally. And I don't know. I just hope maybe it is Avowed, but I'd love to hear nothing from Obsidian for 3 years, wonder, what are they working on, and then
Avowed,
just get a fucking banger.
Yeah. Well, I just hope that they're less. Have you read the tomes of the Necromancer, and more? Don't worry about it. Throw a fireball at the skeleton. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what happens though. That's what happens where you just have like a clarity of like detach yourself from everything else you've done. Get years between you and your last game, and then go all in on something new. And
any dark fantasy game for me is a win, because the genre is just like one thing, but the whole tone of a fantasy game is. I'll play any genre. I'll play anything as long as there's skeletons. And so yeah, Avowed is was the one I got most except for yeah.
Okay, then let's do another email. Okay. This is also about the Xbox Games Showcase, but I mean, it was a big event. So this email is from Tyrone in Houston, who says, "Dear Special Moves, I'm a big fan of the podcast and you blokes generally. You're doing the Lord's work. Keep it up."
Yeah, man, a nice southern gentleman. Thank you, Tyrone.
Typically, I'm a dual console gamer. But due to COVID-19's impact, I am being fiscally conservative this season, he says, and only selecting one console for the time being, and that's the Xbox Series X. I'm curious to know what feature you are most excited about and least excited about regarding the Xbox Series X. Thanks, Tyrone. I mean, it's probably a smart decision to be fiscally conservative around games consoles anyway, but... Yeah. I think it is tough. It's a tough decision. I think before I saw anything, and when it was just PS5 and a new Xbox, I knew with absolute certainty I was going to get a PS5. I'm thinking about it a bit now, though. I'm still going to get a PS5, but I'm kind of thinking...
You do care about the things that they want you to care about, though. So I see that.
Who?
You.
PS5? No, yeah. So you think I care about what Sony...
No, I think you care about the reasons to get an Xbox Series X. What I mean by that is you've got a very nice telly that you want to play the best version of a game on. You've got a very nice sound system, right? So like you could play these games that you're playing now, but better on your better telly, your better sound system.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So that's their only hook, really.
Yeah. I see what you mean. So I'm a good demographic for just getting an upgrade for the console, even though
that's right.
I don't need to. Yeah, I see what you mean. I guess, but with a PS5, it's just the library and the kind of ecosystem. I'm pretty burnt into it at the moment. I think I've got a lot of expansions and there's games that I still want to play, like Destiny and Bloodborne. Like, can I imagine a world where I couldn't just go downstairs and play Bloodborne right now?
I don't want to.
And, okay, you can put two consoles under your telly. Again, I don't want to. I just want to put one console under my telly, right? And I've got to pick carefully. So I'm looking at PS5, but the question from Tyrone was, what's our favourite and least favourite feature about the Xbox Series X? But Liam, I mean, what do you think of this? What's your favourite feature?
Without a doubt, backwards compatibility is... probably the one I'd look forward to most, because Microsoft have spent quite a few years now, touting that you can play, not every single game, but you can play every generation of Xbox on an Xbox One X. So you've got the old original Xbox games, you've got 360 games, and Xbox One games, and then Series X is going to be able to do all that as well, and play Xbox One games. Well, they're going to be the same games anyway, because they're cross-gen. But I really like how committed Microsoft are to that, because I go back and play old games quite a lot, just like games that I've missed in the past. Like, every so often, someone will come along and say, "Here's this like 360 gem that you missed or whatever," and I'll say, "Oh yeah, I'll look into it." And I really like that. And Sony have not been doing the best with their backwards compatibility track record. Because at first it was, what was it, the 100 most popular games by playtime were going to be backwards compatible. Then it was, there's going to be more than that. Then it was going to be like every game from, I think, July onwards on the PS4 has to be forwards compatible with the PS5. And it's just been like, no one's come out from Sony and just given like a clear, definitive answer, because they still haven't said anything about like PS1 games or PS2 games or PS3 games.
Which to me means it's not happening.
Probably because they're not doing it.
It's like, and for me, like I bought, well, on the PS3, you could buy digital PS1 games, and I've got loads of them just like sat on my PSN account, and the only way I can play them is if I keep my PS3 around, and obviously that's not going to last forever. So I'd like it to, you know, eventually have this, like, if the PS5 could play all generations of PlayStation, that'd be a bit of a game changer for me. But for, like, I don't really know what bad features there are of the Series X, though, because none of it looks bad. All of it sounds pretty nice. I guess the closest thing I can think to a bad feature is the proprietary memory cards, if you want to put more storage in, because instead of just being able to like buy an off-the-shelf SSD that you could just like, well, you know, like say if I get a new SSD for my computer or whatever, I could just take the one, like an old one, out my computer and put that in an Xbox instead. But instead you have to buy these, like, you know, specially made Microsoft ones, which are probably going to be pretty expensive. But you know, like we don't know pricing for that yet, so we don't know.
No,
but that's the closest I think to a bad feature.
Jake, you were going to say something there. What do you reckon?
I think the bad feature were just like, no games. No games, bro. Like, you know what I mean? The thing is, my PS4 is the dominant life form in my house. It even overrules my wife and me. You know what I mean? It's the boy. That's downstairs. I got my PC up here, and then on my second floor is where the Xbox lives. It's got a little telly, a little shit telly.
Yeah.
So, you know, the graphics aren't popping on it, but that's okay, because most of the Game Pass games I play are like roguelikes that look like they've been...
Well, Xbox can't, you know, it's a different... I don't want to say that it's just... you and I have both got an Xbox One S, Jake, right?
Yeah.
Which is the lower tier, and Liam's got a good one. But when you play games on an Xbox One S, it's like, you know, Gears of War or their first party ones, it feels like it's fucking, like it's a chore. Like it's kind of, the frame rate isn't amazing, or the resolution is...
I don't play through.
But what I'm going to say, the point is that it doesn't matter that it's on a smaller TV. If anything, it's probably better if you're on a smaller monitor, because it'll be slightly less noticeable. And for me, I'm with you there. I'm the same. Like the Xbox for me is in the back room, and it's like not, you know, it's not as...
the Xbox is in a very special place for me because it's in the bedroom, and it's the most used console we've got because we watch Netflix on it and now TV on it. It's the media.
It's a great media center.
That's what they always fucking wanted, mate. TV sports. That's the dream.
That is exactly what the Xbox is. I use the Xbox more than any other thing in my house because I watch telly on it every night before bed. I watch films in it. When I'm taking a break from work, I want to lay on my bed and I want to put some crap on Netflix. Below Deck I've been watching. And I love Game Pass. It's the best thing. But I've got that. So the only reason to get an Xbox One X, an Xbox Series X for me right now, if I put it right on my shit TV and everything the same, is it looks very cool. I love how it looks.
Yeah.
People hate it, but I fucking love it.
I don't know. Like a monolith, it's great.
Yeah,
I prefer the Xbox design to the PS5. At least
100%.
The PS5 looks like it's going to abduct me in my sleep and take me to another galaxy.
Never gets old, Jake. Never gets old. Jake has just picked up his kind of floor heater fan thing, and it looks a lot like a PS.
Yeah,
probably the same fucking size.
Shit. I'm looking at it and I think I'm gonna have another one of you in my fucking front room.
Like the problem for me as well is I'm not really convinced to get an Xbox Series X because I've got a relatively up-to-date PC which has pretty much the same specs as a Series X. So I'm going to get the same experience on my PC that I'd get on a Series X anyway. Like, if, you know, Halo Infinite, sure, it'll probably, like, you can run it at, like, 4K 60 on a Series X. I haven't got a 4K monitor, but my computer can probably do 4K if I had a 4K monitor. And I've got like a pretty new Ryzen CPU and everything in my computer, so like I'm good to go on that front for Microsoft games. And if they're all going to be on Game Pass, there's not really a reason for me to get a Series X.
Totally. And I think, the backwards compatibility and that is like hand in hand with this kind of open ecosystem idea where you can play anything on any platform. And then Sony are just clearly not interested in going down that route. And even though I would, for me as well, how many times have we said, like, over the last few years, we would love to have just complete open backwards compatibility on the PS5, so you can get PS1, PS2, PS3. That would be fucking sensational, right? But that's not what they're interested in, is it? They just want you to buy the new machine so you can buy the new games that are only available on the machine. That's how they're going to do it.
And that, like, they really started giving a shit about backwards compatibility when everyone was lauding Xbox for it. So, like, a lot of the PS4 heavy hitters will be made backwards compatible. But for me, I feel like I've managed to just like dodge a bullet because I was Xbox 360, right? And like all the backwards compatibility I hope and dream for, Xbox have provided me. I don't really give a shit about half of these PS3 games, to be completely honest with you. So PS4 is like my base level, and PS1 is so far ahead that all these fucking games are getting remade anyway. So it's like for the as long as the PS4 era, like for me personally, I'm fine with it. But I know it would be amazing, and especially Liam, people like Liam who've got collections who should be able to play their PlayStation games on their fucking PlayStation. Doesn't matter what generation. Like,
the thing with Sony as well is they made a shit ton of money off remasters. Like the Last of Us remastered, I think, did better than The Last of Us did on PS3. The Nathan Drake collection sold a shit ton. They've got the Demon Souls remaster remake in the works. That's a big like moneymaker in an area for Sony. So I can see why they might not really want to, be backwards compatible when they've got a proven track record of, if they remake or remaster these games, it's more profitable for them.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I'm always interested in remaster. And like, if anyone, if I like the game, and if there aren't, I can't think of many examples where if I like the game and if someone said there's going to be a Bloodborne remaster on PS5, I will fucking buy that if it's 50 quid. Like it's just the way they know what they're doing, and that's the if you want to play Bloodborne remastered on the PS5, you got to pay for it. On Xbox, it's going to be different, isn't it? Because they went in and remastered fucking Red Dead Redemption, basically. They did it for Rockstar just to have it on the Xbox. They just have a different approach, and you didn't have to pay for that if you already owned it. If you already owned Red Dead Redemption, so it's just a different way of doing it, and it's annoying because I would like backwards compatibility, but what are you going to do in it?
Yeah.
So we talked about this for an awful long time now. Is there any other games from the Xbox Games Showcase thing you want to mention? I've got one more, but I'll ask you guys first.
No, there's nothing really else that jumped out at me, to be honest.
I did like the look of The Medium, right? It is a very, very well presented trailer and a very cool concept, but it is made by the people that made the Blair Witch, which was very shit. So, and because it was a CGI trailer, so I'm 50-50 on that. Maybe it's a chance for them to redeem themselves. They've got a lot of promise, but if you've played the Blair Witch, I don't need to say anything else.
I thought that it was pretty cool that Destiny 2 is coming to Game Pass, and not only that, but all of the fucking shit is coming to Game Pass as well. So you can
I might re-roll,
I was thinking that yesterday.
You have my axe.
Cool. Cheers. So I think that's
imagine
again,
that's how they reacted to Gimli. And my axe, cool, Gimli, sit back down.
Nice one.
Yeah. You've got 4 people are speaking, you fucking idiot.
I think that it just kind of furthers the argument for what we've been saying about Game Pass, that it's just a good fucking deal. To have that Destiny 2 and the expansions and the fucking whatever, I don't even know what you can pay for in Destiny 2 anymore, but most of it is included in the Game Pass version, which is fucking cool. That's really good. and a good reason to get into it if you've never done so before and you've got like 200 gigs spare on your hard drive. All right, do you guys want to talk about what you've been playing, or do you want to go straight to the...
Well, I'd like to talk about the game I've been playing because it's short. It's very short.
Go for it.
It's just a short monologue. All right? I'll present to the class. Fall Guys is a game published by Devolver Digital, I think, and made by Mediatonic, I think. And it's a very, very pastel-y, cute-looking... It looks like, imagine if you had a packet of like strawberry flavour Tic Tacs and they were possessed and they came alive. That's what the little character models look like. And the game is like Takeshi's Castle. Is there like an American version of that we can say? Or is Takeshi's Castle like universal?
I think America got Takeshi's Castle.
You guys know Takeshi's Castle? Imagine like Total Wipeout if, like 100 people ran the course at once. Basically, it's like, I don't want to say a battle royale game, but it's this very cool, pastel-coloured, chuppa-chup, hyper-pop, crazy, well-presented little game that has got a super, super simple premise that is coming out next week, I think. But they put out a technical beta test of it this week, and I played it on PC, and then I was lucky enough to get it on PS4, and I've been playing it. And it is fucking crack. It's so good, you know. I slept in. I was late to record this podcast, and I think half the reason is because yesterday I woke up super early to play it on the PS4 like a little goblin. I love this game. It's super, super simple. You play a game, you can play it multiplayer, play it couch co-op. You join a game, there's 60 people, and you run basically a gauntlet. 60 of you, only 40 will qualify for the first round, and then round 2, there's 40 of you, only 20 will qualify for the next round, then there's and then ultimately there's a winner. When you win points. With your points, you unlock like vanity items. No, vanity items. So you're a little Tic Tac, but you can unlock a wolf head, or you can unlock a pigeon head, or you can unlock some swim shorts with love hearts on. You know, it's just stupid. Like you don't really win anything of value. It makes your little avatar look better. The whole thing seems like it would have taken over the entire planet if this came out on the 360 days in that 1 versus 100 trend, and you unlock different special things for your little Xbox 360 avatar. Imagine that. The premise is super simple. Every time you jump in, you have a bit of fun. It's got 3 buttons: a jump button, a grab button, and Superman Battlefield dolphin dive button. If you need to like fuck off out the way dead quick. And you know, you can do funny things like, of course, if you're running a little gauntlet, you can grab somebody and throw them out of the way, and they're eliminated.
It sounds like the Warriors on PS2 so like, I feel like you need a good crossbody dive in there. One of the buttons should be like
well, that's what it is. It's that. So if you did that and turned sideways, you could do a crossbody dive.
Oh, nice.
And you can knock people out the way. It's a fun physics-based thing. Yeah. You know, it's always like a pretty much an A to B gauntlet, and it really is like Takeshi's Castle, like break through the walls, but some of the walls are brick, so you can't do it. Super simple. There's nothing to it. I've just explained every single thing that the game has to offer.
Sounds good.
But playing it's great, and do you know what it is? It's like a game where you play against 60 people. You might win. There's a statistical chance that you won't win that's higher than you winning. But when you don't win, the downtime is minimal. It's not like fucking COD Battlegrounds where you jump in a lobby with your mates, you load into that lobby, then there's a pre-lobby, then you're on a plane, and you jump out the plane, then you're getting weapons, and then the game starts. It's literally you're out, you get back into a lobby, it starts. So the downtime is good. So the dopamine levels are just an all-time high where you're playing as your little Tic Tac guys. The game's out really, really soon, and I am definitely going to get it, you know. You would, if you've been on the internet, you would have seen it. It was on Twitch. It was the top of Twitch. It even beat Fortnite in most watched, you know, for some bits. I just don't know when it comes out. I'm pretty sure it's this weekend, but yeah, there's a game called Fall Guys, which is out August 4th, actually. So
next week.
Cool. But there we go.
Right. Thanks, Liam.
Yeah, I'll be quick as well. I played another Devolver Digital special. I played Carrion on Xbox, which is the game where you play as the monster, and it was getting quite a lot of hype before it came out because it has a very good pixel art, and just for novelty of being able to play the monster, which in games you're usually the one running away from the monster or fighting it instead of actually being it. And it's basically you play as the Thing. It might as well be the Thing, and you start out breaking out of a containment lab, and you're small, and you eat people, you grab them with tentacles, you throw them in the air, you like chomp down on their heads if you want to restore your health, and then eventually you unlock new powers, you grow bigger and bigger, you get like the ability you can take over a human's mind, and you can use them to do your bidding, so you can go like shoot everyone, or open levers to like break out the containment labs and stuff like that. There's parts of the game where it's almost like puzzly, I guess, there's three different sizes of monster you can be, and your abilities change depending what size you are. So when you're like at the biggest, like when you've cultivated the most mass, which is actually how they describe it in the game, you're basically like this unstoppable monstrosity where you can shoot spikes at people, you can impale them with like 4 different tentacles and stuff like that. If you're the medium size, you're a bit more agile, but you've got like a charge attack, and you can break down walls and stuff like that. And then when you're at the smallest, you're at your most vulnerable, but you get an invisibility ability, so you can like stealth around and prey on people like from air vents and stuff like that. Or you'd be like, I can't remember what the other ability is when you're that small. Oh, it's like a spider web, like
a cobweb thing, isn't it? Yeah.
You can shoot. You can like shoot people and like trap them, and then you like, as a monster does, slowly approach them and devour them. But yeah, it's like it's basically Power Fantasy the game, really, where you are this like really unstoppable force. You can die in it. You die very quickly, actually.
Yeah.
But like the game wants you to sort of like play it smart, where it will often present you with like an overwhelming force. Like very quickly, people with flamethrowers get introduced, and they'll just like tear you apart in seconds. Even people with regular guns can just like shred you in seconds. So at first you have to play it like quite stealthy, and it's sort of about like navigating this underground lab where you've got to outsmart the enemies and figure out how to like escape each level, and it's usually like solving environmental puzzles to like open levers to doors and stuff like that. That is the majority of the game, just figuring out how to escape whatever area you're in is pretty much the majority of the game. There's not much variety to the gameplay. So it's quite a short game. You can finish it in like 4 or 5 hours. It really comes down to if you like the concept, really. If you're not interested at all in the concept, then you're probably not going to like this game. But if you are interested,
it reminds me a bit. Oh, sorry, Liam.
Oh, it's alright. I was just going to say, like, it really does come down to if you're interested in the idea of playing this giant, unstoppable killing machine and you want to destroy puny humans, then the game will be for you. But if you're looking for anything outside of that, there's not really much there. Like, there's a tiny bit of story you get with every so often.
Flashback.
Yeah, there's like these flashbacks that hint at like the origin of the creature you play, but they're like spread quite far apart. It's for me, like I do think it's a good game. It's just sort of like maybe a bit of a great idea with so-so execution. Like the concept is really strong, but the actual gameplay itself is quite simplistic, and like you don't really have to use your abilities all that much. You can play it stealthy and like sneak around taking over people's minds if you want, but it's also a viable strategy to just burst into the room and destroy everyone as quickly as possible, like throwing them into walls and stuff. That works just as well as sneaking around. But like,
reminds me, I don't know why it's reminding me so much of Prototype. Do you remember that? It's like which sounds like the same similar kind of concept, but in an open world Spider-Man type game.
Both games do have an awful lot of tentacles in them. and tendrils.
You play as a monster.
And you play as a monster.
I think it's a bit like Blasphemous, that game that came out by Team 17 last year, I think. But Blasphemous has a lot more to it. In my opinion, Blasphemous is the best roguelike Metroidvania, not roguelike, Metroidvania game since Hollow Knight, right? But it was a bit like that, where it was like a concept, it's an idea, that you get abilities as you go on. But then I think what Blasphemous did was it had like variation in levels and stuff, and new areas looks really different. Biomes were huge. This is like...
Yeah.
There's a brown area, there's a green area, there's a grey area, and it's very minimal. So that was my opinion of it.
I agree with you totally. There's only so much you can do with an underground laboratory to make it seem like different. Like the environments are very samey, and it's not a Metroidvania. Carrion. It's quite linear actually. It's pretty much like to escape each level, you have to find these like swarm or hive spots. I can't remember what they're called. Like embed yourself in them, and then it'll unlock one lock on a door and stuff like that. And then you travel to the next area of the facility. It's like there's not really much going back to previous areas with your new abilities to, unlock power ups and stuff like that. There are like some power ups you can collect in it, but they are completely optional, and you can get through the entire game without picking up a single one of these optional power-ups.
All right. Should we do the new games then? There's actually quite a few of these to go. New releases for the coming week. Quite a few, like I said. Grounded. Should we do that first? Grounded, a survival game developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Studios.
I swear it was something else.
Yeah, that's it. So it's released for PC and Xbox One on July 28th, 2020, as an early access title.
Yeah.
So that's Tuesday, July the 28th. Grounded. Any of you guys know anything about this?
I played the demo of it. They had like a half-hour demo a couple months ago now. It was on Steam and Xbox, and I wasn't really into it. It's just like another one of those Ark, Rust, Conan Exiles style survival games where you've got to build a settlement, you've got to manage your hunger meter, your thirst meter, your sleep meter. There's deadly enemies out in the world, in this case like ladybugs and ants, because it looks like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And as far as I could gather from the demo I played, the main objective is fixing like the shrink ray. Like you've got to repair it on a molecular level, because you're like that small, and well, not molecular level, but you know what I mean. Anyway, you got to repair this shrink ray, to get yourself back to normal size, and you do it while trying to survive in this garden. I will say though, the spiders are actually fucking terrifying in this game. They are actually, when you're that up close to them, it is when you start the game, it has an optional arachnophobia mode. You can turn off the spiders if you can't handle them.
Cool. That sounds pretty good.
But other than that, it just seems like one of those like people will be playing this on YouTube for a couple weeks, and then they'll move on to whatever the next one that comes out is.
Yeah. Okay, so on the same day, that's July the 28th, Tuesday, Destroy All Humans is a remake of the classic, in inverted commas, game from, what was it, PS2 era? I can't
PS2.
Remember. PS2. It's on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and it says Stadia here, Jake, is that right?
That's right.
I've heard of that.
It's coming out to Stadia a little later.
It's a pretty. I've played a little bit of this, not enough to really talk about it, but it's kind of pretty faithful. But visually, obviously, visually they've done a good job of kind of improving it. But it's pretty faithful to the PS2 era, fairly open level kind of design, shooting and manipulating. You basically play as an alien invader, and you have to take over people's minds and stuff like that. A lot of that in this week's podcast, by the sounds of it. But a lot, taking over people's minds. Bad guy, you're a monster, and set in the 50s. Got this kind of very 2000s era humor, which you maybe have got a lot of nostalgia for. I really liked it at the time. I really like Destroy.
It's a post-Gex, pre-Deadpool type of humour, where it's quippy, but not quite 4/4 breaking.
That's how they'll refer to it in the history books, the post-Gex era.
You look at Jake here, comedy historian.
So that's on the Tuesday as well, and also the same day is Samurai Showdown Neo Geo Collection, which is out on the Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. It's a fighting game
collection.
Liam, you got anything to say about it?
They gave this away on the Epic Games Store a few weeks ago, and so like totally free, as Epic is sort of one to do now. I've not played it myself. I claimed it because free games. But yeah, it's like, as far as I know, it's just like a compendium collection of previous Samurai Showdown games, which are a sort of like classic fighting game franchise by SNK, with a new one that came out, I want to say last year, came out on PS4 and Xbox. And yeah, this is just like another one of those arcade collection type things.
Sweet. Okay, and then on the 30th of July, which is the Thursday, there's a new RTS game which looks pretty cool, out as an open beta, early access, whatever. I think it's a beta, called Iron Harvest. It's a steampunk RTS game which is going to be on Steam, but only as an open beta title on Steam, and then that's for a proper release on the 1st of September, where it's going to be on GOG and Epic Game Store and whatever. It looks really cool. It looks like a Company of Heroes, but with like robots and shit. Have any of you guys seen anything about this?
I have, but I can't remember why. As soon as you said that, it rings a bell. And considering all these fucking RTS types have all got these really, I don't know, the names all blur into one. Iron Harvest, Iron Brigade, Steel Formation. I'm just making these up, right? But probably two of them are right. Iron Harvest, though, for some reason I was straight away like, that's the one with the robots in.
I think Iron Brigade is an actual real game, because that's what I was thinking of. Of
course it is.
It was made by
Japanese.
No, it was made by Double Fine.
Yeah, it's the spiritual successor to Brass Platoon.
It's you play as you're just in like this big steampunk mech thing. It's like a tower defense game.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Iron Harvest, where it's an RTS with steampunk mechs, but you don't play as them. You see, guys, there's a lot of nuance here. But no, this is I can't remember where it was shown.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah, I played this. I played Iron Brigade.
Yeah, I did as well.
So it looks it looked cool from what I remember. And then just before the podcast, I had a cheeky little Google, and I was like, I like the look of this, so we should hop on it, I think.
Yeah, and I'm saying Company of Heroes, but only. I mean, I don't know how it plays or anything. I haven't gotten into it too much, but it just superficially looks like Company of Heroes because there's little groups of early 20th century looking infantry. I think it's like a World War One alternate future type of job. What these Iron games are like, don't you? And it looks cool. Like the cool robot designs. Like they're not just like typical kind of mech type things that there are like classic, steampunky kind of mechs. Steampunk's the wrong word, but it looks really cool. So that's going to be an open beta on the 30th.
The mech designs are really cool, by the way.
I think, I don't know how I know this, but I think it's called Diesel Punk.
Cheers.
That sounds about right. That
that is a real thing.
Aesthetically, very pleasing. Anyway,
classic Diesel Punk aesthetic. So get into that if you're interested in RTS. And also on the same day, 30th of July, it's Thursday, Yakuza Kiwami 2 was out on Xbox One. I mean, we've talked about Yakuza a lot, haven't we? Which one? What's going on in Kiwami 2?
It's a remake of...
Kiwami 2 is a remake of Yakuza 2, which originally came out on the PS2. There's a lot of 2s here. But yeah, like, this is one of my favourite Yakuza games, Kiwami 2, because it's got a really good combat system. I like the new sort of stat RPG mechanics they put into it. And it's got one of the best iterations of the Cabaret Club management game, which is always the best part of every Yakuza game. And it's got amazing karaoke songs. What's not to love? And
is this?
It's got a very.
Liam,
Yeah.
Oh, am I right in thinking that this, not chronologically, but in terms of development time, is the newest Yakuza, if you don't include Judgment?
Yeah. Well, it's like this is the newest one. If you don't include Judgment and Yakuza Like a Dragon, which isn't even out yet. This is the newest up-to-date one.
So, like, because some people will always want to play. Some people will want to play the very first one, but then they'll see that there's 500 Yakuza games and say, "Fuck that! I'll just play the newest one." Well, if that's you, then and it's on Game Pass, right? That's the thing. It's not just on Xbox.
Yeah,
it's on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass. They're slowly bringing over the Yakuza series to Xbox. They've now got 0, Kiwami 1, and now Kiwami 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if the remastered collection eventually makes its way over, and Yakuza 6 as well. But yeah, like
probably right before 7.
Probably, yeah. I'll just in Kiwami 2, you get to fist fight a tiger. So there you go.
Done. Right. Same day, Hellpoint is out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One, which is an action RPG by Tiny Build. Does anyone know anything about this?
I thought I did, but I got the wrong game.
And Doraemon Story of Seasons is out on PS4, which is a farm simulation RPG type thing.
Story of Seasons is Harvest Moon, isn't it?
Yep. Story Seasons is the original Harvest Moon developers, because they can't use the name Harvest Moon anymore because they split off from, who is it, Natsume? Is that who they split off from?
So the OG, so all the Stardew Valley fans, innit, just fucking pay homage.
Pay your respects, yeah. Harvest. Yeah. This is the original boys.
There you go. Another packed podcast. Lots of new games coming out. Lots of stuff to catch up on if you haven't been paying attention over the last week. Definitely have a look at that Xbox showcase, I think, because there's just a lot of cool trailers and stuff in it. And
put it on 1.5 speed. You'll be through it in like half an hour.
Yeah, and if you skip the Halo thing, fucking
20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's okay. Skip the Halo thing. That's the main fucking thing that they have. Just skip that. Nice one. Thanks, guys. That was a good podcast. We'll be back next week with more gaming.
Podcast.
Games. We are gamers after all. Send us emails to dsspecialmoves@gmail.com if you want us to talk about anything, share your opinions about stuff, give us your stories, your personal anecdotes about playing games, ask us questions if you're desperate. Cheers.